I'll now call the Iberia Parish Council meeting for May 25th, 2022. The current time now is 6:03. Tonight, the prayer will be led by Councilman Paul Landry and the pledge by Councilman Napier. Councilman Landry on the prayer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll do the Lord's Prayer.
Councilman Napier on the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please initiate the roll call.
Tommy Colvin. Here. Michael Landry. Here. Marcus Broussard. Here. Lloyd Brown. Here. Warren Gotcherson.
Here.
Natalie Broussard. Paul Landry. Here. James Strongholm.
Here.
Scott Ronsonet.
Here.
Eugene Olivier.
Here.
Brian Napier.
Here.
Lady Brown. Marty Strongholm. Chad Mountry.
We have a quorum. I'll need a motion to go into public comments. I have a motion by Councilman Pollard and second by Councilman Brown. Roll call, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hear no opposition. The ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. We're now in public comments. Number one, Madam Clerk.
Comments from the general public. Comments from the general public on non-agenda items. A, Mr. LeVar Greenhouse of AT&T to address the council to discuss AT&T's broadband expansion in Iberia Parish.
Mr. LeVar, just for the record, please state your name and the company you represent, sir, and welcome.
Yes, sir. My name is LeVar Greenhouse, Regional Director for AT&T. I represent AT&T. My coworker, Brandon Higginbotham, represents AT&T.
Hi, good evening. I actually represent the store located off of Admiral Doyle, so if y'all have any questions or concerns, comments, you are more than welcome to come and see us at that location.
So I'll get right to it. Why am I here? AT&T is rolling out, expanding our broadband footprint in Iberia Parish. Why? Largely in part because I received so many phone calls from the parish president. He has been an advocate in ensuring that AT&T expands our broadband footprint and our competition as well, but AT&T in Iberia Parish. So I won't get into the mud. I'll just give a high-level overview of what y'all can expect to see. We are investing over the past 3 years $40 million to the Acadiana community. That includes Lafayette, New Iberia, Opelousas, etc. But why are we doing this? Basically, the events of 2020, 2021 made us realize that people need equitable access to broadband internet. We want everybody to be able to use telehealth, learn from home, use entertainment from home, and placing fiber in addition to our wireless infrastructure, the wave of the future. So what does that look like? Basically, the first thing that we do, we plan a job, we engineer a job, we construct it. That takes about 6 months. During that process, we reach out to the parish president's office, the mayor's office to inquire about permits. So that lets everyone know that we're coming. What you see after that, you see our contractors digging, placing the fiber if it's buried, if it's aerial, we place on the poles. What you also see before any work begins, I go back to we submit and request permits to be approved. We place door hangers. Our contractors are supposed to place street signs to let you know that AT&T will be doing work in the right-of-way in your neighborhood. That way you're not caught off guard. Those street signs, those door hangers also have numbers that identify who the contact person is with AT&T, because it's not me. If you have any issues with your property, you have any questions about what's going on, they can call that number and they can resolve and alleviate those issues. Also, our contractors are supposed to restore any disruption of your property to as was or better conditions. If you don't feel or that constituent does not feel those conditions were not restored to as was or better, they can call that number and they will ensure that conditions are met. If those conditions escalate, the council, the parish president, please call me, and I'll make sure that it gets resolved. A few other things. Most important part, I think, is this is at no cost to the parish. We do all of this based on our own capital dollars. So beyond maybe applying for some federal grants, GUMBO, which is the Granting Unserved Municipalities Broadband Opportunities, which is a state-funded program. We do not ask the parish for any money, and basically it mostly comes out of AT&T's own capital dollars. What you can see from a speed perspective is you have a 100 meg service on our fiber product to 5 gig. I have a gig at my home. I had 100 meg up until they made a gig available for AT&T employees, and 100 meg was more than suitable for me. But you can get 5 gig, and the prices range from about 55 to 100 and
So so if we go with the 300 megabits per second with autopay paperless, that'll be starting off at $55 per month. If we go onwards to about 5 gigabytes, they do have pricing promotions up to 85. But also just want to let everybody know, because y'all are here to represent your constituents. Federal government has some programs in place for a lot of constituents where they can apply for what's called the Affordable Connectivity Program and get discounts and credits towards their bills as well.
and I was going, like we almost worked together. So I'll say what's important to Brandon's point. AT&T has 2 programs. Access by AT&T, and that's basically a low-cost offering if you're Pell Grant. And I have some, I'll leave this right here for the council. It gives a high-level overview, but the Access by AT&T, if you have fiber, you can get a 100 meg service for $30 a month. If you get free reduced lunch, Pell Grant, you meet a certain poverty threshold, and you receive SNAP. But in addition to that, as Brandon said, the Affordable Connectivity Program, that's a federally subsidized program, gives you $30 a month. So if you fill out both of those programs and apply for both of those programs, you can get internet for free, and all of that information is on that flyer that's being passed around. And that ACP has $14 billion that the federal government has put into it. So we're advocating at AT&T and a corporate level that the federal government continues to feed into that subsidy as a way to kind of offset the cost. And just to give you some rough numbers, in Iberia Parish, this is based on census data. The census data said there's about 69,830 people in Iberia Parish. 92% of those families have access to 25 or 3 internet speed. But for this particular program, ACP, this is federal information. I did not get it from AT&T, so nobody is checking on anyone. But once you go in and you apply for the service, your zip code is reflected. So based on zip codes, 6,700 people have applied and have the ACP program, so that's less than 10%. The biggest zip code was 70560. I guess that's the most of the parish or most of the city. They had 3,900 people that's applied. So there's still a good possibility of more people in Iberia Parish applying for the ACP to get that subsidy, applying for access to get that subsidy. And Brandon Store is more than willing to help anyone. And last but not least, some of the things that AT&T is doing, we are doing a lot of digital literacy programs. We have partnered with the Boys and Girls Club. Last year we gave them or sponsored $50,000 for them to actually advocate and teach digital literacy in the Acadiana region. My group, Brandon's group, we're also doing some digital literacy program to help kids, elderly, someone that may not be familiar with the internet, just to get acclimated. And from a business perspective, any business that wants AT&T fiber at their business can get it. It runs down most of every major corridor. We feed almost every major business. So anyone that wants AT&T fiber can get it. And we usually get a question about maps, so I answer that right now. We are not allowed to share maps just because our fiber serve hospitals, first responders, E911, and we really protect that information. But once those areas go live or go green, they're ready for service, I will reach out to every councilman, the parish president, the mayor, to let them know that their fiber is available in their district. That way there's a level of awareness there at the end of our process. So I can answer any questions that you may have.
Members, at this time, is there any questions for Mr. LeVar? Hearing none, Mr. LeVar, we appreciate your time and appreciate you being here.
Yes, sir.
Moving on, Madam Clerk, item B, please.
Ms. Carol Whip, Executive Director of the Iberia Parish Council on Aging, to provide update on their services.
Ms. Whip, if you can just state your name and title for the record, please. Welcome.
Good evening. My name's Carol Whip. I'm the Executive Director of Iberia Parish Council on Aging. Just to give you an update, I probably visited here a little over a year and a half ago, and the parish graciously gave us $10,000 to spend on senior funds. And so what we did with this, because this is what I had approached it with, is we bought 220 fans, 125 heaters, and then we also did shelf-stable meals, which they say is 3 days of meals. But you have to realize a year ago we might have been serving 350 seniors a day home-delivered meals, and now because my meal sites are have opened, that we're serving more like 225, plus we have the people that eat at the meal site. And what we do with the shelf-stable meals, if we have a hurricane coming, and we know we might be closed because of this potential hurricane or a freeze day, which we've had those days, we send out a bagged lunch to the seniors that includes a boxed milk, maybe the tuna salad kits or the Chef Boyardee, things that they can prepare if they do without electricity. And I will say that of the 10,000, I think we spent 19,900 and something. I think we were $16 short just because our order, we had a back order on mandarin oranges or something, and it didn't come through. I just really appreciate that, and know that our senior centers all three are open. We have one in Jeanerette, Laurelville, and New Iberia at School Days Apartments, which y'all know the renovations that's going on there, and it's also going to affect my meal site. There's going to be some updates. The services that we had that we never stopped during the pandemic, and I'm almost 99% sure that it might have been the only one that we continued services during the first days, is we delivered home-delivered meals every single day, 5 days a week. We put the food in the Walmart bags or whatever kind of bags. We knocked on the door, hung it on their door, and made sure they came and get the food, but we backed away. And then, so we were delivering probably about 350 meals of these a day. We do have now our caregivers program back up, our van driving's back up, our homemaker program's back up. Today, we had our first activity in almost 2 years. Older Americans Month is in May. And today we had a dance and we had a DJ today at City Park. We probably had about 150 people attend just because some of them didn't attend because of the weather. We honored those seniors that are 90 and older, and we honored the veterans today with a gift. It was a great activity. It's been almost scary. We got so used to staying home and being enclosed, and some of these seniors felt the same way. But today we had just a joyous time, and it's time to see our community get back open. And just don't forget the seniors. They are the backbone of this community. And they're the ones that have served in the armed forces and everything. And I'm looking forward to what this next year is going to bring. Anything else? Just remember us if there's ever any grant monies or whatever. I feel like this is right at my eye. Usually I stay for the whole meeting, but I'm going to go join the Bible study meeting that's going on. My husband drove there tonight. He had major surgery last week. So keep him in your prayers. And I'm going to go join him. But thank y'all for giving us that $10,000. And you asked me if I could spend it, and we said, yes, we can, and we did. So,
Members,
thank
while
you.
we have Ms. Whip there, is there any questions for Ms. Whip? Thank you. Hearing none, thank you for all you do for the
Thank you.
community.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, number 2, please.
Comments from the general public on agenda items.
We do have a request by Mr. Herb Jones to address item summary 85, and he's in favor for the record. Mr. Jones, if you can state your name and title for the record, welcome.
Thank you, Council Chair, for giving me a moment to ask for your consideration for summary 85. And then by ordinance and initiative set forth by this council many years ago, almost 15 by my count. The Iberia Parish Mosquito Control is a fully developed mosquito control program, implementing widely adopted best practices for disease, surveillance, and mosquito abatement. Our program is a recognized grant recipient from the CDC and the Louisiana Department of Health. We are poised to move forward into the next decade of the program's legacy. So, with your consideration, we're ready to do that, to continue our public health protections, advanced operational technologies, and individual citizen services. So thank you again for that agenda item this evening, and we look forward to giving us a call because it is mosquito season.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Appreciate you being here. Moving on, Madam Clerk, to item A.
Persons being considered for appointment to parish boards or commissions to address the council.
We do have a request from Ms. Joanne Parker, who is reapplying for library board appointment. Ms. Parker, please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Joanne Parker, and I live at 600 Astor Place Drive, New Iberia. I want to, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to serve on the Iberia Parish Library Board. It has certainly been a pleasant experience. I am reapplying for a further appointment to the board. I can tell you that I have served as vice chair of the library board for the last 2 years and have had the opportunity to chair 2 of the meetings. It has been an education, it has been a pleasure, and furthermore, it has made me immensely proud to be from New Iberia. I have seen how efficiently the parish operates, and just give me a chance for anybody to say it doesn't. I'm your chief advocate, and I appreciate the opportunity to do that. They don't mess with me. Not saying anything about my size, but my ability to talk over them. I have enjoyed this last term immensely, have been impressed with how well the library board has operated, especially with the difficulties that we had with the Delcom Library. I've seen how we've worked together and pulled together to make this a doable and advancing board, and I appreciate that, and I do ask for your support for reappointment to the library board.
Members, are there any questions for Ms. Parker at this time?
Thank you for reapplying.
Hearing none, we appreciate your service to our community, Ms. Parker.
Thank you.
We also have a request by Ms. Alice Fall, who is also reapplying for her position on the Acadiana Fairgrounds. Ms. Fall, if you can state your name and address for the record. Welcome.
Good evening. My name's Alice Fall. I live at 2415 Snapper Road in New Iberia. Thank you all for having me this evening. I am reapplying for to be a commissioner at the Sugarina. The first couple of years, I had to question my sanity because I didn't know why I was doing it and torturing myself. But after a few years of blood, sweat, and tears, I find we finally have a really good bunch of people that we're working with. We're seeing some headway. It's still considered a little bit of the of New Iberia's redheaded stepchild, but we really are doing great things out there. Thank you for coming to visit us, Mr. Tommy. Every weekend this year, just about every weekend is booked. We have events out there. Most of them are free for you to come, and every now and then there's a gate charge maybe for the bigger rodeos and stuff. But it is, Iberia Parish owns it, and being able to work on with that group, trying to make it better is what we're trying to do. So I'm reapplying for a commission spot, so I would appreciate if you'd vote for me.
Members, at this time, is there any questions for Ms. Fall?
Thank you.
Hearing none, Ms. Fall, we appreciate your service to our community.
Thank you.
At this time, is there a Mr. Michael Flash representing Iberia Economic Development Authority? Mr. Paul Trahan Jr. representing Water District Number 3? Mr. Roger Duncan applying for Water District Number 3? Ms. Terry Lochley applying for Fire District Protection Number 1. Hearing none, moving on to item B, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chip Klein, Director of Coastal Activities for the State of Louisiana and Chairman, Louisiana Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority, CPRA Board, to address the council to provide an update of CPRA projects within Iberia
If you
Parish.
can just state your name and title for the record, please, sir.
Yes, sir. Chip Klein, Executive Assistant to the Governor for Coastal Activities and Chairman of the CPRA Board. Mr. Chairman, members of the council, Mr. President, thank you for the opportunity to be with you tonight. I had the opportunity, Mr. Chairman, to listen in on some of the comments that were made at the previous council meeting. I believe it was last week. It's a great sound effect there.
Mr. Klein, I apologize for that, sir.
It's okay. But I thought it would be good for me to come give an update on the projects that are receiving funding from the state and the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority here in Iberia Parish. And I want to start with the 3 projects that are currently either in construction or slated for construction this year. As a result of the BP oil spill funding that we got from the BP oil spill settlement, there are about $4.4 million in improvements in the Sycamore Point State Park, which is currently under construction. The 2 other projects that are currently under construction is the Rodier Canal Water Control Structure. If you look at the Coastal Annual Plan, there's $2.4 million allocated to that project that is currently under construction. The second project, or the third project, I should say, that is under construction is actually, I believe there's a resolution before the council tonight authorizing the president to enter into an intergovernmental agreement for the Jefferson Canal Flapgate Control Structure for $2.5 million. And so all of those 3 projects are either slated for construction or currently under construction. We have the money sitting in the Coastal Trust Fund ready to begin construction of the Jefferson project. And then this year, in working with the parish president and working with Representative Bo Boyer, we were able to get 4 additional projects included in House Bill 2. All 4 of these projects are currently in engineering and design, and those 4 projects are the Little Valley Bayou Flood Protection Project, the George Lawson Flood Protection Project, the Rutten Railroad Flood Protection Projects, and the Stumpy Bayou Flood Protection Project. So those 4 projects, currently under engineering and design, are funded through HB 2, which consists of all of the capital expenditures for the state of Louisiana, and the commitment that we made to Representative Boyer that if we could get those in House Bill 2 this year, that CPRA would follow up with the necessary funding to actually construct those 4 projects, which would result in an additional investment from CPRA of about $21.2 million. You do have 1 project in planning, which is the South Central Coastal Plan. There is a feasibility study currently taking place for South Central Louisiana that looks at what type of projects need to be put on the ground to reduce risk here, to better protect the communities and residents here in Iberia Parish, St. Mary, going probably, I believe, into Assumption Parish as well. And so that is setting the stage for additional federal dollars to be invested here. And so all in all, you have 8 projects that are active here in Iberia Parish, 3 in construction, 4 in engineering and design. And I will tell you point blank here, as a representative of the governor, as chairman of the CPRA board, that the 4 projects that are currently in engineering and design, when they are ready for funding for construction, that funding will be provided by the CPRA. I know there was discussion last week at the council meeting on the People's Coulee project. That is not a CPRA project. That is a project that is being led by the parish. And so that is not, I believe the parish is using GOMESA dollars that the parish receives on an annual basis to fund that project. So that is not a state-led project. And so, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Certainly. At this time, members, are there any questions for Mr. Klein? I do believe Councilman Landry on the question.
Mr. Chip, thank you for coming here today.
Yes, sir.
So it sounds like you'd like to see us go out and get money for engineering and design.
like the 4 projects, Little Valley, Stumpy and all that, and then you like to follow up with the construction.
Yes, sir.
Y'all don't lead with the design. You prefer us to come up with some type of money, like Go Mesa or something like
Well,
that.
I mean, I don't really have a preference on that. I mean, it's open lines of communication. Early and often communication, I think, is serves both CPRA and the parish well. We've done it both ways. Where the state has funded E&D and then the parish has funded construction, or vice versa. So I don't really have a preference there. But in this case, I believe some of the parish has used some of its Go Mesa dollars to engineer some of these projects, get them construction ready, and then make an application to us. But then on the 4, that's the state dollars are actually going to take those projects through engineering and design, and then we'll follow up with construction dollars from the state as well.
And I believe there was a state master plan, and that's what y'all prefer us to use?
That is correct. So the master plan, just to be clear, members, is the overarching plan. It's the 50-year vision to restore the coast and to provide hurricane protection, flood protection to the businesses and individuals that live in South Louisiana. There's actually an executive order that was put into place by Governor Jindal. Governor Edwards re-upped it when he was elected the first time, and then did it again when he was re-elected. That requires all state agencies, political subdivisions of the state, to any activities that are done as it relates to hurricane protection and coastal restoration must be either consistent with or complementary to the master plan. And so that's, I think, should be the guiding document, not only for the state, but for the parish as well.
So of all the parishes along the Gulf Coast from the Mississippi border to Texas, most of them are working on some type of levee system. And Iberia Parish is special, I guess. We don't have any type of levee, so this is going to be our only line of defense against storm surge and things.
Well, so there's various projects, but as I mentioned, there is a federal investigation that is looking at how we can reduce risk here. And if I'm reading the tea leaves, that is going to recommend non-structural, a lot of home elevations, flood-proofing of businesses and things like that, because as you know, Councilman, that the way the Corps of Engineers looks at these things, that it has to meet a cost-benefit analysis. What's the cost of providing structural protection, floodgates, surge barriers, pump stations, things like that, and what is the benefit that it provides? And sometimes those are difficult conversations with the Corps of Engineers. And so the recommendations that's going to be put forward to Congress is home elevations and floodproofing of homes and businesses in Iberia.
So you're pretty familiar with Go Mesa money.
Yes, sir.
So I know when it first started out, we were getting 20,000 a year, then 80, then 200. Now it's up to about $1 million. Do you think that is going to be an ongoing income that'll be gone for a while?
I do. I believe that Congress would have to change the law in order for that to stop coming to the state and to the various parishes in the coastal zone. There is an increased effort by CPRA and many coastal parishes to actually increase the amount of Go Mesa revenues that are coming to the coastal producing states. There's a revenue sharing program with Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, and there is a huge disparity that exists between coastal producing states, coastal parishes, compared to what inland producing states get on federal lands. And so by comparison, the state got a check for about $80 million last year. The state of New Mexico got a check for $1.1 billion. Okay, we're constitutionally mandated by what we can use Go Mesa revenues on, coastal restoration, hurricane protection. Inland producing states can use it on anything. They're not capped with the amount of money that they can receive the way we are. And so there's a bill by Senator Cassidy and Senator Sheldon Whitehouse from the state of Rhode Island that actually increases the percentage that is shared, removes the cap, and then it increases the number of leases that can participate in the revenue sharing program. So to answer your question directly, they would have to change the law, which is, it would have to go through both houses of Congress, signed by the president in order to for that to stop. Now, if you want to get into energy policy on what the administration's doing and things like that to incentivize domestic energy production, that's a whole nother ballgame. But right now, that funding is secure.
You know, we've been hearing both sides of the thing of Gamesa. Should we take the money yearly? And obviously, we would do one project at a time, or should we just go ahead and do a high-risk bond and get $20 million up, and then we could go ahead and do all the engineering design of all the projects in Iberia Parish? And if we did something like that, you know, would we come to you with most of the projects and say, here's our high priority, and you would do multiple in a year, where we could end up doing all these projects within maybe 5 years?
We could, Councilman, and I know that other parishes have looked at this and have bonded out their Go Mesa revenues. But I will tell you, Councilman, that those parishes, all of the projects that they're funding with those bonds are construction ready. And so you see parishes like Terrebonne Parish, President Dove, and I've had conversations with some of you about this, that, you know, they did a lot of the engineering and design to get those projects construction ready and then issued bonds. And I think Iberia could do the same thing. I will say, I think over the last 2 to 3 years, Iberia has really stepped up its coastal game. I think it's really starting to look at hurricane protection and coastal restoration in a way that it didn't in years past. And so I'm never going to tell you, no, don't bond, but I just don't think you're ready yet to bond. I think you will ultimately get to a place to where you could, when the majority of your projects are construction ready, you're ready to fund those projects, which could then help leverage additional dollars from the state.
But I guess, how do we get the engineering design done if we don't have the money up front? So it seems like we're getting $1 million a year, we do a project. Next year, we get $1 million, we do another. If you could do the bonding of, say, 20 million, could we do 12 projects, engineering and design, and be ready to go with everything?
Do you have the capacity to do 12 projects under engineering and design?
I do the financing on this side, yes, I could.
So, I mean, that's the
Administration is a
question. So, I
different
mean, so the
thing.
way this works is if we were to provide the funding, or if you had that, then you were going to be in charge of implementing those projects. And so I can tell you, Councilman, that every request that we receive this year for a project to be funded is being funded, either for construction or engineering and design. And so I'm trying to fulfill every request that we get from either the council or the parish president or from your legislators in this area. You could hypothetically say, you know what, I'm going to get $20 million and I'm going to start all these projects, but you better be dang certain that you have the capacity to do that in the parish, to do it in an orderly manner, that you're not rushing. It's more important to get it right than do it fast.
That's a good answer, I appreciate that.
Councilman Landry, you finished? Councilman Landry yields back. Councilman Napier on the question?
So that's what I was gonna ask you, Chip, and thanks again for coming and
Yes, sir.
speaking to us last week. About, you know, if we take that Go Mesa money, you know, could we bond it? And obviously you've answered that, because if you're not ready, let's say we would do that. I mean, and if you saw some of the meeting, as you said, I think part of the frustration from Peebles was that, you know, where we at with it, you know, that, you know, we not moving forward, and that we might have to go out for rebid. We don't know that, it's possible, but could that happen with any of these projects? Are we on a, I mean, for the council, I'm sure the administration knows, but, you know, what we're gonna approve tonight, there's a timeline for us to do all the legal stuff, to get it ready and
Well, there's
and
a what I'll call just a regulatory process that you're going to have to go through in order to permit the projects, get them construction ready. You know, look, we can certainly have the same thing happen on future projects that happened on People's Coulee. I'm not, that doesn't happen often. I believe it was a land rights issue that maybe the landowner wasn't brought in on the front end. That's apparently going to be fixed.
could we lose the funding?
No, so you would not lose the funding from the state. And I believe that project is actually being funded by the parish, so that would be a decision that y'all would have to make as to whether or not you wanted to reallocate the money to another project or I'm not certain of whether or not you have to go out for bid,
But
rebid
on-
it or
but
what.
On your projects, even if we ran into a snag like that, we're not gonna lose it. I
No,
mean,
sir.
I'm sure y'all wouldn't be happy if we drug our feet, but
Look, we deal with the Corps of Engineers all day, so we can definitely deal with Iberia Parish. And so, look, I mean, there's delays all the time, Councilman,
Yeah.
on projects and things like that. But if there was a hiccup or a mistake, we certainly wouldn't pull the funding just for a delay or a snag on a project.
okay. And taking, I think one of the things that came up too is we looking at all these projects. And I know for the administration to be able to move forward, we have to approve it in a resolution. We just worried, and some of us mentioned the fact that because of the snag we had on Peebles, should we move forward? But if I'm hearing you correctly, as they come up, we should move forward, even if we're doing beginning design on 3 or 4 of them at a time.
Yeah.
That's, in your opinion, it's not too many. We should move forward.
Yes, sir. No doubt about it. I mean, on the agreement the resolution that y'all are hopefully approving tonight is, I've got $2.5 million at the state level that's ready. I'm ready to give it to you. The question is, do you want it?
Yeah,
So.
yeah, no, we want it. I mean, I surely want it. I'm just hoping that we can handle it and that we can handle that many. You know, because
Yes, sir.
our legal is strapped, you know, with a lot of work, and you know, the slowdown we had on Peebles, we just hate to take something and it sits there on a shelf, you know.
Yes, sir.
But I mean, from what you're saying.
That's
don't
right.
think
Well,
that
it
way.
goes back to the previous question on bonding. You know, it's never a good look for a state or for a parish to have $20 million sitting in their bank account and not being able to spend it. That's not a good look.
No.
I guarantee you'd probably be getting a lot of pushback from people in this room going, you're sitting on $20 million and you're not doing anything. So my answer to you is, when you're ready, I think you ought to look at doing something like that. So,
Mr. Klein, thank you
Yes, sir.
so much for coming here tonight. I think I'm good. Thank you,
The
Mr.
gentleman
Chairman.
yields back. Anyone else on the discussion, members? Hearing no other, Mr. Klein, do you care to close? You finished?
no, sir, I'll just echo what I said. I'm just been really impressed and appreciative of the effort of Iberia Parish in kind of really making restoration and protection more of a priority for the parish. And I know that if we often and frequent communication is the key to this. I know that many of you look at Terrebonne Parish as the example on this. So I just give you my commitment that if we stay in this together, that we're going to be successful. So thank you
Well,
very much.
you're always welcome here. Always bring more money with you when you come, okay?
Yes, sir.
We appreciate you, Mr. Klein. Hearing no other requests to address the council, I'll need a motion to go back into regular session. Have a motion by Councilman Pollard, second by Councilman Trahon. Roll call members, those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hear no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to reports from finance and administrative actions. Madam Clerk, number 1.
Balance sheets for April 2022 on request.
Madam Clerk, number 2.
Budget reports for April 2022 on request.
Moving on to reports from parish or other governmental agencies, we have number 1, Madam Clerk.
District Attorney Bo Dewey to give the council a presentation regarding the Acadiana Criminalistics Laboratories capital outlay request for a new facility.
Welcome.
Good evening, Bo Dewey, District Attorney for the 16th Judicial District. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to come back in front of y'all tonight. Me and Kevin Ardoin, the Executive Director of the lab. We're here to discuss the capital outlay project for the Acadiana Crime Lab. I know when we came last time, we had presented a PowerPoint with some slides of the condition. With permission of Chairman Gashasan, we have a short video that takes a boring PowerPoint and condenses it into 3, for people who may be watching the video, if haven't seen it, because we're going to ask you for some resolutions with respect to what it shows. So if y'all wouldn't mind.
saying, you might be able to use Mr. Brown's mic. He doesn't use it much anyways. Need some popcorn.
Was established in 1971 and began operations in 1972. The ACL started in the basement of the Acadiana Regional Airport Tower and moved into its current facility in 1989. The facility was initially an oil field business in the 1980s before ACL retrofitted the building into a crime lab. ACL services law enforcement agencies in 8 Acadiana parishes: St. Mary, Iberia, St. Martin, Vermilion, Acadia, Lafayette, Evangeline, and St. Landry. Unfortunately, due to the age of ACL, operational conditions within the lab and the limited size of the lab has become challenging. For instance, the current crime lab is 10,000 square feet. The optimal size of a crime lab is 1,000 square feet per employee to accommodate personnel and the numerous pieces of equipment necessary for the employees to perform their responsibilities. ACL has 23 employees that must work in these conditions. The integrity of the building is failing. Heavy rainfalls have flooded the lab, causing risk to hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment and evidence retained in the lab for custodial purposes. The ACL staff has implemented flood protocols, such as raising equipment off the floor, blocking windows that leak, covering equipment and putting garbage cans out to protect from roof leakage. Of greater concern is a direct hit from a hurricane like Ida or Laura. The roof has been repaired on many occasions and still has consistent leaks. Hurricane force winds may destroy the building and potentially the evidence, including DNA evidence, that is necessary to seek justice for victims of violent and sex offenses. ACL has been successful in obtaining capital outlay from the state of Louisiana for architectural drawings to build a new crime lab to address all of these issues, including structural soundness from hurricanes. In this legislative session, 2022, ACL has been fortunate to have an opportunity for capital outlay to build a new crime lab. The lab will be built on property currently owned by ACL and near the Acadiana Regional Airport in Iberia Parish, which is a central location within the 8 parishes it serves. Through the efforts and support of our legislative delegation, public officials, and the communities of the 8 parishes the ACL serves, we are optimistic that we will meet the requirements for the state match required for the capital outlay approval. So what we're here for tonight is we're seeking a resolution by this council in support of the Acadiana Crime Lab project, and in particular in support of using your best efforts that if capital outlay is granted and a match is required, that y'all would contribute a proportionate share of the $5 million match for this $20 million project. Briefly, again, where we are now is we're still in the drawing phase. That should conclude by the end of the year, beginning of the first quarter, and it would go out to bid at that point. Remember, this is a lab that is servicing 8 different parishes, and of course, these parishes we are all asking to share their proportional part of that match. What we have done, if we looked at who uses the lab, and by that what law enforcement agencies use the lab and what is their percentage based on 2019 figures, and it's out of the 6,207 cases in 2019 that were submitted from the 8 parish region into the parish, broken down by parish, and then broken down into subparts in the individual parishes. I'm responsible or taking the lead on my 3 parishes of Acadiana, as well as my fellow DAs are doing theirs with respect to Mr. Landry in Lafayette and his 3 parishes, as well as Mr. Brignac and Mr. Pete in St. Landry and Evangeline parishes. And The bottom line is when we came to look at it, we broke it down into, in the three parishes we have, there's 14 law enforcement agencies that are operational and actually provide service for their respective city, village, or town and submit cases into the lab. Of course, in New Iberia, we have Delcom Police Department, we have the Jeanerette City Marshal Police Department, Iberia Parish Sheriff's Department, and New Iberia Police Department. And I have 14 total, and I'm very humbled to say that here we are in our 14th one, and we've been successful in getting resolutions from everybody, from the largest contributor, which is the city of New Iberia, down to even the smallest agencies, being Delcom and Henderson. They've all participated based on their pro rata share and have signed resolutions similar to the ones we are asking for you tonight. The proportional, the amount for Iberia Parish total was $642,823. And based on the 217 cases that were requested for service from the Iberia Parish Sheriff's Office, the match we're seeking is up to $174,803. Once again, we're not asking for any money right now. It probably wouldn't be until the project begins and construction begins and up into probably the first quarter of next year and throughout the next couple of years for budgetary purposes. So that's our request tonight. And I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Marty Trahan. Marty Trahan was a big proponent of this. He would sit in my office all the time and say, "Bo, we need to work on this crime lab. We need to do things. There's a need." And of course, he's drawn, I'm sure, not only in his desire to serve the parish and his constituents, but his law enforcement background. He understood the importance, as well as y'all have acknowledged, and I appreciate y'all doing that. But I just want to mention Marty, since we unfortunately lost him too early. Yet I know he's looking down on that, and if I don't get this done, I'm going to have hell to pay. So, if y'all have any questions for Mr. Ardoin or myself, we're happy to answer any.
Any questions for District Attorney Dewey? Hearing none at this time, you're welcome to close when you're ready.
I just once again just want to thank y'all. Y'all have been big supporters of not only my office, but you understand the importance of government when public safety is involved, and that's what we have here. And we have a really good crime lab over there and some wonderful people. And it's important that not only do we have adequate facilities, but we have those facilities to not only be professional in what we do, but also retain, workers over there, because they get recruited all the time, and they're very specialized in their talents. So,
yeah, members, while District Attorney Dewey's here, do note that we will have to refill a vacancy at some point when the council's ready, so that we have adequate representation there. It's going to be hard to fill Marty's shoes, but at some point we'll have to do that. Thank you for being here.
Thank you all very much.
Appreciate you.
Thank you all.
And I have to leave because it's my mama night, and I got to go pick up my mama. She's eating with, and I was looking at my clock. I said she calls at about 7. So thank you for taking us at the front.
Thank you. Moving on to Public Works Report, number 1, Madam Clerk.
Public Works Department report for closed work orders dated April 27th through May 10th, 2022.
Moving on to special business, there is none. Council member announcements. Before you start, members, I just ask that you hold your comments if it pertains to Mr. Trahan. We'll be coming up shortly on that, and then we'll be able to go around the round table. At this time, we do have Councilman Landry on announcements.
Yeah, just, if we look on what's going on in the United States in the last month, we've had 3 terrible tragedies. I'd like everybody to just take a minute to sit down and reflect on what's going on and to pray for the victims in Texas, Buffalo, and in California. Texas was close to home, so just asking for that privilege.
Okay. The gentleman yields back. Anyone else in Councilman announcements? Hearing none. Parish President announcements.
Okay, I'm going to do a quick report. Public Works, the last 2 weeks, we've been cleaning culverts in District 2, 3, 5, 8, and 9. Culvert inspection in District 2. We had debris to be picked up in District 3, 10, 11, and 14. We had some trees that was down in District 8 and 13. We did field drainage work in District 10. roadside drainage work in District 5, 9, and 10, road grading work in District 13 and 14, and of course, patching roads in District 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, and 14, and we're going to continue to patch roads until we get some money to overlay roads. Road repair work was done in District 9 and District 14. Our little abatement over the last two times we went out with the district attorney's office, we picked up, looked like 218 bags of trash and everything else that goes along with it. Your boxes, your windows, your tires. And we did that on West Washington Street, Grand Prairie, Pellerin Road, and Monarch Road. Last week, on May 12th, we had our annual hurricane preparation meeting. It was held at the Slyman. It was an awesome meeting. We had a lot of participation. We had the National Weather Service there, the Louisiana National Guard, our CERT team, the Louisiana Department of Health and Hospital, FEMA, different fire departments from the cities and parish, the Sheriff Department, and a whole host of others, DEQ, FEMA, and it was very well attended, and I think we had a very successful another annual preparation meeting. Today I was on the phone with Prescott and Michael Broussard and Kim, Cindy, with GOSEP, and we're talking about our emergency debris contract, trying to get prepared for hurricanes, fuel concerns when you have a whole host of things. Right now we're in hurricane season, as far as I'm concerned, so we're trying to make sure that we're prepared. And this is a big deal for Iberia Parish, and we have to stay on top of it. At this time, if we can, Mr. Chairman, we have a quick update for you guys on projects from Royal Engineering. That's why, Mike, if you can come up and give
Hearing no objection.
very quick.
So thank y'all, first of all. And what's being passed down, it's going to be a lot of the same information that Chip gave y'all. It's just an update on funding. It's just a little more detailed. And it's on the Go Mesa funding on the project so far. And not to repeat everything that Chip said, but you have 3 projects that are fully funded. They're engineered, they're permitted, they're ready to go to construction. I think one of them is Jefferson, was a resolution tonight to access that funding. I think you've already authorized the parish to sign the intergovernmental agreement on Road Deer. We just received that permit, so that project is also going to be ready to go to construction. And then the 4 projects, the Little Valley Bayou, George Lawson, Root and Reel, and Stumping Bayou. The parish has actually funded the engineering for that, and it's well underway. We haven't gone to permit it yet. The funding that was in HB2 for those 4 projects can either finish out the engineering or be applied to construction, and then you heard Chip, they committed to fund the construction of those 4. So, and just, not everybody was here when we started this 3 years ago. So Iberia Parish really had no coastal program 3 years ago. There was no relationship with CPRA. You were not receiving any matching dollars. And if you flip over this and look at this, in less than 3 years, you've expended $4.5 million of your own dollars and got over $21 million committed from CPRA. That's a 4.8 return on your money in less than 3 years, and you started from 0. I've been doing this for 25 years, and we do it for a lot of parishes. You may not see it as a success. It's certainly not perfect. I don't know how we could have done a better job of getting this money. Now, we got to go put some projects in the ground. I know your legal department is working feverishly on land rights, on peoples to get it resolved. I know we have the contractor who's on board to build it is still on board to build it. And we're doing everything we can to support the legal department on the land rights. I can't control what I can't control. And I think they're well underway on Jefferson, Road Deer, and the other 4 in your land rights as well. But all of those projects will be permitted, engineered, and ready for construction, all of them in the next 6 to 8 months. And you'll have funding to do them.
Any questions? Councilman Landry?
Would you have a listing, a picture of the parish with all the, from the state master plan that would show us all the future canals and everything that we'd be
Yes, sir.
working
And
on?
all all 7 of these projects are part of that master plan.
How many, just off the top of your head, how many more canals you think we're looking at?
On the smaller structures, there's probably 6 or 7 left, and then you get to the bigger structures like Commercial Canal, Delcom Canal, Petitons. Those are going to be the bigger lifts, and then you got levees connecting them. And just a little bit on what Chairman Klein was talking about. So the Corps of Engineers is doing a study right now, and they're going to publish a study that is going to determine what their recommendation is for long-term flood protection in the parish. And Chip says he thinks they're going to recommend non-structural. Doesn't mean you have to do non-structural. That's the Corps' recommendation. If you want money from the Corps, they're going to recommend non-structural. CPRA's plan for the parish is not non-structural. It is a levee floodgate system. I'm born and raised here, and as an engineer, and I live and breathe, non-structural, if you tell people of Iberia Parish if they want to live here, they have to elevate their homes, I don't think that's a good message. All your businesses at the Port of Iberia are located on 90. If you tell them they got to raise their businesses, in some cases, 6 to 8 feet. So that's just one man's opinion. You got an option here to put a flood protection system in, and you got CPRA as lockstep in funding your projects. Be nice to get money for the Corps, but you really don't need it. CPRA gets their spending plan this year is $1.4 billion. Your whole flood protection system, when it was costed out, now this is 5 years ago, was $600 million to do it all. It's more than that now, obviously.
CPRA is 1 point something billion?
That's just this year's plan.
This year.
So,
For the coast of Louisiana?
that's the whole state.
Yeah, the whole state.
For the parishes it deals with.
Do you work with any other parishes besides Iberia?
Yes, sir.
Which ones?
St. Bernard, Cameron, Terrebonne, St. Tammany.
Most of those have levee systems coming up?
No, not all. Well, so obviously Terrebonne has a robust levee system. Cameron is not a levee system. It's a lot of restoration and rocks and beach restoration. St. Tammany, which is in the North Shore of Lake Pontchartrain, so some of it's levees, but a lot of it is different types of features.
Thank you.
Gentleman yields back. Anyone else in questions, members?
Thank you, Mike.
Hearing none. Parish President, if you want to close,
I'm good.
finish.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Chairman.
Moving on to consent agenda items for public hearing and adoption, Madam Clerk.
Minutes, regular meeting of, supposed to be April 27th, 2022, and regular meeting of May 11th, 2022. Summary number 77, introduced by the parish president, a resolution amending the 2022 royalty fund budget in the amount of $2,596,000 to appropriate state funding through Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority for engineering and construction services for the Jefferson Canal, all to be funded with grant revenues, and further authorizing the parish president to execute an intergovernmental agreement between the state of Louisiana through the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority Board and Iberia Parish government regarding the construction of Jefferson Canal water control structure to provide for the effective date thereof and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. Note tabled from May 11th, 2022, Iberia Parish Council meeting. Summary number 80, introduced by the parish president, a resolution of condolences to the family of Mr. Marty Trahan, District 13 councilman who passed away on May 16th, 2022.
Members, do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda item as is? Have a motion by Councilman Landry, second by Councilman Michael Landry. Councilman Landry?
I'd like to pull summary 80 out from the consent.
There's a request to pull summary number 80. Is there any other request to pull an item? Hearing none, members, just for the record, we'll need to amend the minutes to April 27th. Is that okay with the motioner in a second?
Yes.
Hearing no objection, roll call members, those in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, the motion carries unanimously. Summary number 80, introduced by the parish president. Madam Clerk?
A resolution of condolences to the family of Mr. Marty Trahan, District 13 councilman who passed away on May 16th, 2022.
Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Councilman Landry, second by Councilman Michael Landry. Councilman Landry.
Miss Natalie Broussard that she had asked me to read during the meeting.
Without objection.
Thank you. Miss Natalie wasn't able to make that meeting here today, but she gave me this letter and asked me to read. With a heavy heart, I am not able to be at this meeting in person to honor my friend and colleague, Marty Trahan. I appreciate the chairman allowing my words to be read in my absence. I have known Marty since I was a teenager. Marty was a friend, mentor, and brother in Christ. He was one of the first people I called when I considered running for parish council. I remember him clearly telling me to stick with him. He promised to show me the ropes and guide me. He was always available to answer questions or bounce ideas off of. Marty and I did not always agree, but at the end of the night, we always laughed and hugged it out. Marty was passionate and fought hard for what he believed was right. He loved his community, his friends, his family, and God. I am honored to stick with Marty and let his passion, commitment, and love guide me to be better. Rest in peace, my friend. You will be missed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Landry yields back. Councilman Michael Landry on discussion. Councilman Landry waves. I do believe at this time that the clerk has prepared a presentation on behalf of Marty. Members, at this time, I'll go around the table and you can take your time to offer the comments, starting with District 1. Councilman Pollard.
Yes, I'd like to tell the family that they have my deepest sympathy, and if y'all need anything that I can help, please don't hesitate to call. Thank you.
Councilman Bruce Orr.
Yeah, my few months here on the council, to echo what Ms. Natalie said, it didn't take long to see Mr. Marty's passion to serve his community, and not to mention, you know, several times he called or I called him, asked him questions about the drainage issues that we have here, and he, you know, quite frankly, very often, you know, called me, brought me in, and was there to mentor me through some of those things as I learned. So I wish I had more time with him to learn, but you know, only God chooses when it's our time. So, excuse me, condolences to the family as well. Thank you.
Councilman Landry.
Morty mostly with their family business. We did a lot, and I guess the time I got to know him the most, Lisa and Morty came to my house. We had just bought the house and had a bunch of friends over and stuff like that. And to me, it was just everybody knew Morty. And my first year with Morty was pretty rough. And then but we worked it out. Then we became big friends, and he was always. I would say he was one of the hardest workers on this council, and a lot of knowledge is going to be lost. So I'm good.
Councilman Rosling?
Yeah, same. Condolences to the family. If y'all need, you're welcome to call me also. But listening to Natalie saying about stick with me, one of the first things he told me was, stick with me, T. Stick with me, T. And
That was him.
he always told me that the first thing he said, look, you got to remember, I talk a lot. Rock used to, and that was my signal. So, hey, if you hear that when you're talking, that's enough. Let it go. So that stuck with me, especially when he said it. It brought it back up. So my condolences again. But Marty was a great guy, man.
Councilman Napier?
Only Marty could have me speechless. Lisa, my heart goes out to you and your family. Lindsay, we're gonna miss him. I know I will. And like Paul, surely I had my rounds with him, and he was like, T, stick with me, and Marty, we with you. And today, the last couple of days, we preparing for the meeting, talking to a couple councilmen. And I not knowing, I said Marty, referring to somebody else, and I'd say his name. He's with us.
Oh, yeah.
He's with us, and I think he'll always be. And when I decided to run, I didn't know any of you, but Marty. And through his dad and their business and all, and even when he switched, he would always come and pump me up about, come on, we're gonna do it together, T. We're gonna run this parish, And it was just my pleasure, y'all, to have known and served with Marty. He'll always be very special to me. Thank y'all for allowing him to serve with us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Landry?
I'm a firm believer in, I think the Lord bring people into your life at certain points in time for whatever reason. And I think this whole council, when Marty was brought into our life, we became a better council. I believe I had been on the council 2 weeks. Marty called me and said, we got some drainage issues. I go over there, I meet him, and he said, bro, you better go do it, because I ain't walking in that mud. So, but that's the type of person he was, and I'm going to surely miss him, and my condolences, and y'all have my love and my admiration, because I really think we've lost a good person.
Councilman Trone?
Yes, my condolences to the family. If we can do anything for y'all, please let us know. I knew Marty for over 40 years. And when I first wanted to run, I told Marty, I said, I'm thinking about running. And his words were, T, we need 2 Trons on that council. We need to run. So now he's left me by myself. But anyway, I guess I can carry his load for him. But he helped me when I was politicking, gave me some pointers, and I really thanked him for that. And as some of y'all see in front of you, there's a prayer cord and a medal. And that's St. Thomas More. He's the patron saint of politicians, lawyers, and judges. So I just wanted to give that kind of a remembrance of Marty to y'all. If y'all need any kind of, I know we don't think alike, vote alike, but we all try to do the right thing. So if you got trouble trying to figure out what you got to do the right thing, maybe pick up that prayer cord and remember Marty, and say the prayer to St. Thomas more. So, thank you.
Councilman Mottram?
I don't think there's much more that can be said. A lot of y'all referred to his passion for drainage. I think the only thing he was more passionate about than drainage was his family and them grandbabies.
Certainly. Amen.
He's talked about them a lot lately before. And I just hope we can do him right and get some of these drainage issues handled. We have an appointment we have to make to fill that seat. I'm not sure you can fill it the right way. We've made some appointments in the past, but this is going to be a tough one.
Huge.
And I hope and pray that the person that takes his place has as much passion for that district and drainage as he did. God bless you, Marty. Gonna miss you.
Councilman Olivier?
First of all, I'm a little hoarse. I apologize. Deepest sympathy to the family of Marty. You know, I know they're going through a lot right now. But I have to remember Marty's laughter and his support. You know, I often travel with Marty, the Police Jury Association, different functions, and boy, he was a go-getter. You know, we got together, we wanted to do something, and we jumped right in head first and went ahead and got it done. You know, with his support, you know, I'm third vice president of the Police Jury Association right now, and a lot of that was his doing, because that was a position he really was going to run for. When I ran, he said, Gene, go ahead and do it. And I went ahead and did it, and I won that seat as member at large, then later this past year as third vice president. So I have a lot to be appreciative, you know, for Marty. You know, now, there was times, of course, when he got very excited and frustrated, you know, because I remember a lot of times we sitting in Larry's office, and boy, he would get out of his chair. He would go after us, you know, but that was Marty. You know, he made his point. You know, he was serious about what he was doing, and he was serious about the people he represents in Iberia Parish. You know, we grew together as a family, you know, all of us, along with Marty, and we have a lot to be thankful for. And family, thank y'all so much.
Sure. Councilman Brown?
There's not much that I could say that y'all haven't said, but I'll go back to Eugene with at these council, at the police jury meeting and the convention. Marty, I thought I knew everybody. Come to find out, Marty said, T, you don't know, come on with me. And we would just go around from one place to the other, speaking to these different council people. And I got to learn a lot of people through Marty. And he's going to be missed.
I can tell you, when the weather was bad or we knew a storm was coming, our phones were like magnets. It's who was going to pick who up first. How many sandbags were we going to be able to put out? When he couldn't do it, we all teamed up and got together and covered 13, and he helped us on our way. A lot of trips we made where he knew he couldn't eat certain foods, but we never told. We never told. I can tell you, there'll never be another Marty Tron, or there'll never be another representative, as much as we appoint somebody there that's going to be passionate like he was, or just, I mean, I could still wait this week for the door to open at the office and him coming in full blast about something he's got on his mind, and we're going to address it right now. And I could be on the phone, and that's just who he was. He just, family, I know y'all were first, but I'm telling you, politics was right there with y'all. It was just a passion. He was just born to serve. So I can't say any more, but I can tell you this. I appreciate every one of y'all, because I know there's a lot of times he left that house on Saturdays and Sundays, and we rode together. And that took time away from Lindsay, Lauren, his wife, mom and dad. But at the end of the day, he shared it with us, and we very thankful for it. So again, I appreciate everything that Marty did for this parish. And it wasn't just 13.
You know, I've been knowing Marty for a very, very long time, and I guess I can say when Marty would come into the office, and he came literally every week, and it was something that was serious and it didn't matter. And you're right, Marty. Listen to me, Marty. You're right, Warren. It don't matter if you're on the phone, who you talking to. When he has something to say, and he's calling you T. T, I got something to tell you. I got something to tell you. And he walks around the desk and put his hand on your shoulder and say, "Listen, get off the phone." And he don't have a clue who I'm talking to. He was a very passionate person. I remember, and I'm never going to forget this one here. when we had gone to California for a convention. You remember that one, Lisa? I never forget the excitement that Marty had, and I felt so good to be a part of it. I guess you guys know that Marty actually took my place on the council. That's the seat that I represented 12 years prior to him getting there. And I remember him coming to my office telling me he was going to run for parish council and all the different things he was going to do, and he needed this and he needed that and what I had to do. And my thing to Marty was, whatever you do when you first get there, just kind of be quiet the first year. Just try to be quiet the first year and learn what's going on. And I remember him coming to the office maybe a month after he said, I figured it out. I said, do what? He said, I got it now, I got it. I'm not going to be quiet anymore, I got it. I said, Marty, I'm telling you, man, you don't have it. He said, I got it. If I got something I need to talk to you about, I'll come and meet you or whatever. Marty is loved by everyone. My family has been knowing Mr. Alvarez and his family well before I was married to my wife. And I got a phone call the other day. Someone's vehicle broke down at one of my wife's cousin's house, and they called Alvarez, and Alvarez told them, well, park your car over here at their house. And they're like, God, don't you know them that well? Or whatever the case is. But that's how far back they go. You know, I can talk forever about Marty, which I'm not. Lisa, anything that we can do, myself and Kim and my family, Lindsay, I'm going to miss seeing you, Lindsay, a lot. Because you did the campaigning, you did the riding around, you actually told me things I needed to do. She told me what I needed to do in the district, and I listened, because she had it big time. I remember, I'm not going to tell y'all one thing she told me, but I remember her telling me something, and I looked at her like, Jesus Christ, and she was exactly right. You're going to be missed. But if you ever want to ride, you tell your mom, let us go, I'll get Kim, we'll ride, and we'll do the district or whatever it is with you. We love your family, we love you, Lindsay, we love you, Lisa. And if I can, Mr. Chairman.
Let's wait before we hold the plate over.
Okay.
I just want to give the family, if any one of you would like to say something, this is your opportunity now.
Albert from Marty's dad, and Mr. Parish President Larry Reshore. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman Warren, and all the councilmen. Thank you all for putting up with working with us. Thank you all very much. You'll keep up the good work. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else at this time?
I would like to thank all of y'all too for being his friend, his mentor.
At this time, Mr. Parish President, you can hand over the plate to the family.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, this is Marty's District 13 booth. If there's anything you ever need, you know what we have to. We pass in front of my house every day. Just give us a call. Mr. Alvarez, anything we can do for y'all.
Talk now.
We can talk.
I'm going to turn it over to him.
That's why I know.
He's been
Exactly.
in this district for so long.
Mr. Alvarez, thank you so much for everything you've done.
Thank you.
This is coming from you, Lisa? You, Lisa? That's from James. Thank you. Thank you all so much for
At this time, members, I can't invoke a unanimous second on the floor for a unanimous second. Have a request by Councilman Landry. Is there any objection to unanimous second? Hearing none, roll call members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Let's just take 1 second, a brief moment of silence before we move on. Ordinances introduced for public hearing and adoption, there is none. Resolutions introduced for public hearing and adoption. Summary number 81, introduced by the parish president. Madam Clerk.
A resolution amending the 2022 Economic Development District Number 1 fund budget in the amount of $622,575 to provide for a bridge repairs and or replacement on Lobby Road, all to be funded from fund balance previous year.
Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Councilman Montrand, second by Councilman Landry. Councilman Montrand, discussion.
We had brief discussion on this in the committee meeting. I guess if anybody has any questions, Mr. Akers can kind of answer some of that.
Sure.
It's a worthwhile project that needs to be done, and hopefully we can get some money and get that road done on the other side and get some more commerce coming in
Good.
Iberia Parish.
Okay. Councilman Montran yields back. Councilman Landry on discussion. Councilman Landry waves. Members, any main motion discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hear no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously.
Thank y'all.
Moving on to summary number 82, introduced by the parish president. Madam Clerk?
A resolution amending the 2022 Economic Development District Number 1 fund budget in the amount of $5,914 to provide an additional appropriation needed for FP&C sewer system improvements project based on bids received to cover the lowest bid and 2 alternates as recommended by project engineer Staples Engineering and Consulting LLC, all to be funded from fund balance previous years.
Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Councilman Landry. Paul Landry. Second by Councilman Michael Landry. Councilman Landry on discussion. Councilman Landry waves. Councilman Landry on discussion. Councilman Landry waves. Members, any main motion discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Members, those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, hear no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 83, introduced by the Hospital Service District Number 1. Madam Clerk?
A resolution giving preliminary approval to the issuance of not exceeding $9,700,000 of hospital revenue refunding bonds and $4,900,000 of taxable hospital revenue refunding bonds in one or more series on a tax-exempt or taxable basis and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilman Rawson. Councilman Brown on discussion. Councilman Rawson on discussion. Members, any main motion discussion? Hearing none, we do have our bonding attorney, Jason Akers, here. Members, if there's any questions?
Also Amy Longley, CFO for the hospital.
No questions.
Any numbers you came back with, possible as
Three.
far as percentages?
So we actually have a couple things in front of you right now. There are 3 bonds that are subject to this resolution. They were all issued in 2015. One was in October of 2015, and it's bearing, and then one was in 2015, and then 2 were in December. 2 of them are tax exempt, 1 of them's taxable. Bottom line is, what we're looking at right now, the offer that is on the table would reduce that interest rate to 3.2% and fix it for the life. There's a rate reset in the current bonds that is effective as of November of 2025. This would take that potential reset out of the way and fix it for the life of the bonds. The taxable rate would go from a 4.75 to a 4.05%, also fixed for the life of the bonds, and there'd be savings in every year, savings that would go to the benefit of the medical center.
Thank you.
Councilman Rawson yields back. Councilman Trahon's recognized.
These bonds, just for the record, they're only renewing them on a low interest rate, right? It's not a new bond?
That's correct.
It's
This
original bonds
is
that was
purely
there
a refinancing, and just to kind of put it in common terms, think about refinancing your home mortgage. What you're doing is taking old debt at a higher interest rate out, putting new debt at a lower interest rate in its place, saving money as a result. It's not an additional borrowing, not additional projects to be done at the hospital as a result.
Okay, so it's older stuff that's just getting refinanced.
That's it.
A fixed rate now.
At a fixed rate, yes.
All right, thank you, sir.
Councilman Trahon yields back. Anyone else? Madam Clerk, just for the record, let the record reflect that Councilman Napier is back at his seat. Roll call, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hear no opposition. The ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 84, introduced by legal counsel. Madam Clerk.
A resolution in support of the Acadiana Criminalistics Laboratory District capital outlay request for funds to construct and equip a new Acadiana Criminalistics Laboratory, committing to use its best efforts to provide matching funds in an amount not to exceed $174,803, should said capital outlay request be funded by the state of Louisiana and local matching funds be required, providing for the effective date thereof and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
Do you have a motion? I have a motion by Councilman Paul Landry, second by Councilman Trahon. Councilman Landry in discussion. Councilman Trahon discussion. Members, any main motion discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 85, introduced by the Mosquito Abatement District. Madam Clerk.
A resolution ordering and calling a special election to be held in the parish of Iberia, state of Louisiana, to authorize the renewal of a sales and use tax therein, making application to the State Bond Commission and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Note,
Go ahead.
note, this is a sales tax renewal for the mosquito control program.
I have a motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilman Michael Landry. Councilman Brown.
Yes, well, heard this, he gave us a presentation on what all it does. But there's one other thing. It also helps in the prevention of mosquitoes transmitting what is called heartworms to the dogs. And I could remember before the program, we had a whole lot of dogs, even more. The ratio was even higher with the mosquitoes transmitting the larvae from one dog to the other. And this even helped even some of these dogs that's wild out there with the elimination of the mosquito.
He's over there.
Com-
Yeah. The important one is over there.
Just elaborate on that for me just a little.
Yeah, absolutely, Mr. Brown.
If you can step to the mic, please, sir, if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely, Mr. Brown, you are correct. You get rid of the mosquito, you cut off the life cycle of the heartworm. The mosquito serves as what we call an intermediate host for the heartworms. Without the mosquito, the heartworm life cycle cannot complete. So that's why it's very important for us with our spray program, to reduce those mosquitoes. Iberia Parish in Louisiana has the primary vector for heartworms to canines and those susceptible animals.
Councilman Brown, is that?
Yeah, that's good. And I just want to say that heartworms is different than the intestinal worm. You have you have to get rid of that by treatment rather than just a pill.
Good.
Okay.
Councilman Brown yields back.
That's it.
Councilman Landry on discussion? Councilman Landry waves. Is there any discussion on the main motion, members? Hearing none, just for the record, this is a tax renewal, not a new tax, a tax renewal. Roll call, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, hear no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 86, introduced by James P. Trahan, District 8. Madam Clerk.
A resolution requesting the Public Works Department to use the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, MUTCD, to determine which, if any, signs are warranted on La Bourgeois Road, and further authorizing the installation of said signage. All is located in District 8.
Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Councilman Trahan. Second by Councilman Napier. Councilman Trahan.
To delete, after having a conversation with Mr. Sealy and Parish President, I think this is going to get resolved.
Councilman Trahan, I'll hold that deletion until the main motion is discussed. Councilman Trahan waves. Councilman Napier on discussion.
I was gonna back my buddy up, man, but if you deleting it, I'm gonna back you. You wanna delete it?
Councilman Napier waves. Any discussion on the main motion, members? Hearing none, there is a motion on the floor to delete by Councilman Trahan. Is that okay with Councilman Napier?
Yes, sir.
Is there any discussion on the deletion, members? Hearing none, roll call. Those in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Summary number 86 is deleted. Moving on to ordinances introduced for public hearing, for publication at our next meeting. Summary number 5197, introduced by the Hospital Service District Number 1. Madam Clerk.
An ordinance authorizing the issuance by the Parish of Iberia, State of Louisiana, the issuer of not exceeding $9,700,000 of hospital revenue refunding bonds, Series 2022, and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
This is just for public hearing, for publication. Moving on to summary number 5198, introduced by the Hospital Service District Number 1. Madam Clerk.
An ordinance providing for the reduction of the interest rate on the outstanding taxable hospital revenue bonds, Series 2015C of the Parish of Iberia, State of Louisiana, and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
Just for publication, just to remind the public that our next meeting will be held on June 8th. I'll need a motion to adjourn. I have a motion by Councilman Pollard, second by Councilman Trahan. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and that motion carries unanimously.